My name's Jill Entwistle. I'm currently the editor of Lighting magazine, Lighting, Illumination and Architecture. I'm a freelance journalist who's ended up specialising in lighting purely by chance. I came back from Hong Kong after a period there and started freelancing here with a design magazine called FX. They then launched a lighting magazine, and that's how I got involved, and I've been doing that for about 20 years now, a frightening length of time. So in that time I've edited Light magazine, also Lighting Journal, and currently Lighting, Illumination and Architecture. I really love doing lighting because as a magazine I think it reflects how lighting design has matured as a profession. When I started on Light magazine, we would spend our entire time trying to explain what lighting design was, and lighting designers spent their entire time trying to explain what it was to architects and other clients. And this represents a huge step forward for lighting publications because we're now going to architects. We're not actually talking to lighting designers. There's always been a tendency for the profession to talk to itself. And this is real progress because we're now reaching out to another audience. And we're also doing it in a different way. We're not bogged down with products and technology. It's about inspiration. It's about lighting as art and science. It's about the poetry of light. And I think we've matured sufficiently as a profession to be able to talk about it in those terms. One of the things that we discuss is how lighting is such an important, crucial part of architecture. It's integral to it. And it's really good to make that connection rather than discussing it in isolation. We can feature an architect such as Tadawando, for instance, and just look at the way light falls on concrete surfaces. We can go down to those sort of subtle levels, which makes people really think about light and its role. It's not just squirting light at something from a light fitting. I think lighting technology is really interesting at the moment because on the one hand it's enabled better lighting in that it's become smaller, more controllable, and it's allowed a greater degree of integration, which is very clear. And I'm just judging the Lighting Design Awards at the moment, and the level of integration in projects compared to even 10 years ago is very, very marked. So it allows that. There has been a bit of an obsession about LEDs, so there are all sorts of issues attached to that. Obviously, because it's a low energy source, it means that often things get lit when they wouldn't have been lit in the first place. There's also been quality issues. I think it was driving too far towards low energy concerns, obviously very important, but lighting quality was getting lost just at the point when the message was getting across. In terms of general development, where it's going, who knows? You've got so many different issues out there. You've got Li-Fi, we've got to the point where lighting is being used for data transmission. And it's very, very hard to call at this stage where that's going to go. And also actually how much lighting is being forgotten, how much it becomes an electronics commodity. I mean, it's been very disruptive in terms of the companies involved. The lighting industry now is utterly transformed from what it was when I began. I think in terms of research, if I could just go back to that, even though I wouldn't do it, it's quite clear that more research is needed into health and well-being, and I think it's driving that way. We sort of got to that point where we are aware it's important and therefore are rushing ahead installing biodynamic systems and so on, without really having got to the bottom of how this system works. I mean, the fact that the circadian system operates in individual cells, never mind the body as a corporeal whole, means that it's an extremely complex area, and I think it would be good to get more research into that area before we all start being blasted with blue light in the morning and red light in the afternoon, you know. And I would like to see daylight pushed. I would like to see natural light pushed. But why spend all this money developing artificial lighting systems when it makes much more sense to use a natural resource which is better for us? That is pretty well proven, and it's common sense. Lighting designers are a great bunch, I think. I'm not just being sycophantic about that. I think creative people generally are nicer people, and they've just been so helpful, offering their own time, writing articles, you know. So from that point of view, no challenges. It's been a delight. Actually, I think it's a lovely profession. I would say that most people involved in it have really facilitated my career in terms of making my job easier. I would say lighting design has been very helpful to me, well, two lighting designers, and that's Mark Major and Jonathan Spears. When I first came into lighting, I knew absolutely nothing. And I spent quite a lot of time talking to Mark, and this is before he'd even formed a formal relationship with Jonathan, so we're going back some time. But he and Jonathan were always so wonderful, and I remember Jonathan even having to spell dichroic to me. So that's how bad it was. And they were incredibly supportive, so yeah. I think I always have been conscious of good lighting. I remember saying this, we did a Pachachka years ago at BDP, which I think you guys organised. And I remember saying then that one of my inspirations was my father, because he just instinctively always had lamps everywhere rather than a central ceiling fitting. So I think that sensibility was already in place for when I came into this. So, and I love all the cliched sources, you know, I love candles and all that kind of stuff. And if ever I have people round, lighting is really important, the dimming, the candles, all that kind of thing. I just see it so integral to the atmosphere and a feeling of well-being. And the one thing I love is natural light. I mean, I love taking a walk. I live in the country now. I live in Devon, and it's just lovely, you know, the whole cliched bit, the dappled woodlands, the play of sunlight on water. Sorry, you know, the sunsets, it's all there, but it's just so beautiful and inspiring. It's something that we're very conscious of. I mean, as I was saying, I'm judging the Lighting Design Awards today. We were very concerned. I mean, it's always difficult to find new judges. They need to be of a certain calibre and a certain seniority. And we've consciously made an effort to get more women judges. I think we might be about 50-50 this year. I'd have to double check that. I don't think it's just in lighting. I mean, in fact, there clearly are a lot of women in lighting. They do tend to be attracted to the creative professions. But I think it's a wider problem. It's not just lighting. It's a universal problem. You know, women don't have as much testosterone as men. I don't know, you know, but they just don't put themselves forward. I think it's also that we still have this situation where women are likely to be the ones who are the child carers and have the domestic concerns. And that restricts them. There's only so much energy that an individual has. So I think to resolve it, I think there are two things probably, well, not to resolve it, but at least to help it. One is at an educational level, that is, you know, to introduce women to particularly lighting as a career, but also to educate people that both sexes are in this together, and there needs to be more equality so that women can work. I mean, often women earn more money than men or are brighter than men. Why shouldn't they have the same chance in the workplace? And also learn to assert themselves more and to put themselves forward. I mean, having met a lot of younger women over the years in lighting, I think they're pretty, you know, assertive. I don't see many wallflowers in lighting. But the second thing is obviously for there to be more support in the workplace. so that women are enabled to be outgoing and also do things, sort of extracurricular things, to be able to speak at conferences and just make their presence a bit more felt.